Is the Xbox Series X better than the PlayStation 5? Let's talk about it. Oh yeah, we're also going to spice up the intro a bit. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Adam here, and welcome back to another video where today we're going to be talking about the brand new Xbox Series X. Now in this video, we're going to talk about the architecture, the cooling, and the complete brand new redesign, along with some games and a bunch of other cool features about it and what to expect. Let's begin. So before we get technical with the new Xbox, let's talk about the backstory of it. It was unveiled last December, in a video put out by Xbox, where we got our first look at the design, and it actually looks like a box and not, a rectangular slab. And then earlier this year, back in March, is when Xbox released the specs of the machine, which we will get to in a bit. But the specs of the machine and a brand new redesign showed good things coming. So this brand new console is powered by a brand new custom AMD chip, specifically an 8-core Zen 2 CPU. Now for the other specs, that is where it gets a little bit more interesting. We have the 8-core CPU, as I stated. It runs at 3.8 gigahertz, 12 teraflops of graphical power, 16 gigabytes of DDR6 memory, a terabyte of internal storage, a terabyte expandable proprietary SSD slot, which we will get into later, a 4K UHD Blu-ray optical drive at 4K 60 FPS that can go up to 120, and it is 8K ready. So that is what we have. And it's very, very powerful, as you can tell. This is next generation, power packed into a next generation console, so it makes sense. We'll get into price and stuff like that later, but let's talk more about how it gets cooled. So this redesign was not only for looks, but it also has functionality. Now this is the new cooling design. So let's start with the outside of it and work our way inwards. So the brand new fan, Xbox is calling it a whisper fan, which is supposed to be even more quiet than the current fans. Continuing on with the fans is the airflow. It comes in from the bottom of the console and it gets blown out of the top. Now my opinion on this is to prevent the console from getting choked by its own hot air and overheating and not working, but I don't know, I could be wrong. The motherboard is split into two parts and separated by a heat sink chassis, which helps cools it down even more. And then the fan wasn't enough. There is a massive, massive vapor chamber that spreads the heat out evenly across all aspects of the console. So when you're playing, there is no way for this thing to get hot. For a next generation console, you need next generation games, and that's exactly what Xbox announced earlier this year as well, starting with the ever so famous Halo Infinite. However, that got pushed back to 2021 because of development issues. But honestly, it's better to wait and have a better game. It's just sad that Xbox won't have its main champion at launch. But some other games will include Halo Infinite, as I said, Forza, Fable, Assassin's Creed, and Destiny 2. So, pretty good line of games. Also, ray tracing Minecraft. That'll be very interesting to see a very detailed Minecraft. So, what can we expect? Well, we can expect a top-of-the-line performing console. That's very obvious. But other than, the obvious, there is a new SSD system. So instead of having to plug it in, like through a cable, you plug it into the Xbox itself with its own proprietary SSD. You'll see a picture on screen of what it looks like. You plug it in, and it's a terabyte, so that's pretty cool. If there's an internal terabyte, so you have a lot of options. You just don't want to lose the SSD, or probably label them so you know what's on what. There's a quick save feature, so that way you can go from one game to the next and go back to the first game, and you'll be right where you left off. That's thanks to the new architecture that it has. But let's talk about price. Now price, it's not as expensive as people might think, but it's also, up there. It's $600, and that's from speculation. It could be higher. I doubt it could be lower, but it possibly could be lower. But I would say if you're saving for the console, stick around the $600 mark and you'll be just fine. If you do want to pre-order this console, I will shoot some links down below where you'll get notifications of pre-orders when it's available to pre-order. They're not pre-orders, but when they're available to pre-order. So I'll stick some of those down below. So overall, the Xbox Series X is going to be a behemoth of power with the specs, with the new SSD system and the cooling fan, it is going to be quite the console that is going to rival the PlayStation 5. There's a video on that coming out next week, so make sure you're subscribed and you hit the little bell so that way you know exactly when that comes out so you can check it out. But back on the Xbox, I do think it is going to be better in some ways, but it's also going to be worse in other ways compared to the PlayStation 5, and I think that's a fair assumption to make. But we'll learn more about it when it comes out in November, as confirmed by a tweet, which we'll see on screen. But overall, I think it is going to be a very, very good year for consoles, no doubt. So make sure you also check out the description for the 100 subscriber giveaway. We're giving away a $100 gift card when we hit 100 subscribers, just to celebrate a milestone as a thank you to you guys for watching. But more on that later when we get there. But for now, just keep creating content and doing what we do. That's been this one. I'll see you in the next one.